Yeah, thank you. Could you hear me clearly from a long distance?
Perfect.
Oh,
Perfect.
fantastic. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I know that I only have 7 minutes, so I keep myself pretty brief. And I'll be talking about this from the angle of China, and from my standpoint, how China and Europe could collaborate and work together more closely going forward. I understand the theme of this conference from IEG is about unpredictability, about the fact that the world is changing very fast. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of ambiguity, and therefore, for many businesses, the big question is how do you actually plan for the future? And in fact, in China, we have a way of saying that. We call this um, in English roughly like we have entered into a period of massive change that is unseen in the last 100 years. That's how we call it. And I think this is unprecedented because of a number of reasons, as we know. One is certainly is the pandemic, which been going on for well over a year, is still not in sight. Of course, in the last several years, in particular, China is in the middle of many of the geopolitical uh, tensions, especially China and the US, and so on. And so, geopolitics plays into a major part of how we from China think about, uncertainty. Clearly, from our standpoint, some of the global issues, in addition to the pandemic, are critical. For example, the climate change issue. China is committed to take part in the climate change initiative, working with other countries in the world. In particular, China, as you know, has committed to a carbon neutral by 2060. And of course, the other elements are like, how would China's economy evolve? um, you know, what what would be the China's own policies in driving the economy, and as well as how China, the Chinese government intends to work with other countries. And of course, the big uncertainty is, post the pandemic going forward, how the global order would look like and how would China fit into all that. So given all these are the pretext for many elements of unpredictability, what are the key learnings from China that I think we can take? And certainly from our standpoint, how, I certainly like to share some of our learnings with our counterparts in Europe, because I do see there's tremendous opportunity for Europe and Chinese companies to work together even more closely. A couple of major earnings from my standpoint. One is that despite the political rhetoric from perhaps some other countries in the world, we understand that the Chinese senior leadership is really committed to globalization and multilateralism. This is not because, theoretically China likes that. It is because China has benefited a great deal from globalization and multilateralism over the last several decades. And there's no reason why China needs to turn back on that. And despite the fact that during the past US administration sanctions against many of the things that China was doing, and also in particular in exercising the trade war with China, China is actually accelerating its reform and opening up process. When we said opening up, is opening up China's market for the rest of the world, including those from Europe. During the last year or so, major changes in the market access principles have developed, and is happened in sectors like the automotive sector, financial services, energy, and others. So that will continue to happen. That acceleration of opening up and market reform will also happen. Along the way, we're also seeing a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship that's been developing in China. I think many of you know I published a book in 2015, which is called China Disruptors, in which I talk about China's entrepreneurs and how they came up after the Cultural Revolution and how China's entrepreneurship evolved over the last several decades. That process is still going on, and in fact is accelerating. And in fact, the entrepreneurs are working very closely with the Chinese public sector, including both the government at the central level, as well as the local level, as well as the Chinese state-owned enterprises, to try to create a holistic approach on how to, promote or how to advance the Chinese economy. So this, what we call a three-layer operating model or governance model from China, with the central government at the top, the entrepreneurs at the bottom, and the local governments in the middle. It is a very synchronized and very coordinated model, which explains why I think for many people in the West, they were quite surprised on the speed of development in China, because innately China has already developed this governance model, which is actually quite effective in designing the vision as well as the implement the details along the way. And of course, the SOEs and the privately owned companies also, in many cases, work together to create synergies. So I think overall speaking, we are now seeing a situation where China is gaining its strategic confidence. China is also aware that China is the middle of many of the tensions on the geopolitical reasons. Therefore, China look at Europe as, as of course, more a partner than a competitor, because China would like to work with the European uh, businesses in order to help to build the Chinese economy, and also as a leverage against the US, because US, in some cases, they like to collaborate. In some cases, they also like to, in a way, compete with China. So, I think that there's tremendous opportunity for Chinese companies and European companies to partner together, and for more European companies to come to China, and vice versa, for Chinese companies to go to Europe and collaborate. The CAI, the Comprehensive Agreement for Investment, was a big deal from the Chinese perspective. Hopefully, the Europeans view the same as well. We really like to, really enlarge our trade with the European countries, as well as, with the regional countries in Asia Pacific through RCEP, RECP. So, that's a quick update from us. And these are the initiatives that the Chinese side are taking in order to try to address this huge era of unpredictability. So I will stop here. Thank you.